Is that recording?
Yes. Guys, this is like one of those moments where we're gonna
look
10
back
years.
on.
We're gonna be like, remember when we were just doing our podcast and like we were just starting?
We sure
Yeah,
were.
I feel like we need to like
Fucking
release
cute.
anything.
Yes,
Like,
Sage.
Everyone take like a deep breath in.
Yep.
Deep breath in. And hold it. 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Repeat that 4 times.
It's gonna be great.
Let's do it.
Let's dive in. Welcome
Get into it.
Oh yeah, we gotta be careful of the mic.
Yeah.
Welcome back to episode number 2 of the Metamorphosis podcast with
Am.
Noe and
Gay Italian Nonna.
our first ever guest.
Oh, I'm so honored.
Our literal
so
best
excited.
friend and sister.
I'm
Literal.
a sister. Honorary
Yeah.
sister.
She's an
Honorary
honorary
sister.
And yeah, we've been wanting to do this for a while.
Yeah.
Start a podcast and, even have our Nonna on with
Our
us.
family.
Fam.
So let's dive in.
Let's
So
get in.
how did this beautiful family, relationship, friendship, beautiful whatever this is begin?
You want to go to the origin?
The origin story.
No, how we met because, well, luckily through TikTok.
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 Yeah, we met through TikTok, but yeah, I was gonna say maybe even starting backwards from how we got here today.
Yeah.
In terms of like starting and what we want to talk about, and then the origins are gonna just come organically, but also like
Okay.
in the future. Because I
Okay.
feel like if we're here,
That's
in the
fair.
origin,
Oh, you know what? That's fair. That's
we
fair.
can go briefly, actually, just like
We'll go wherever the podcast takes us, but that's a good point. So why even here today? Because our episode number 2, we didn't know what we were going to do, but
Yeah.
just given a lot of things that are happening in the world right now, specifically in Canada, specifically around trans rights, LGBTQ plus rights, schools, education, that's what brought us together today.
Yeah.
And Nonna sent us a message this morning, literally,
Yeah.
being like, we need to make a stance on this, and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we'd
Use
love
our
to do
platforms.
something together.
Yeah, we have a platform, like, we all speak about, like, love and, like, positivity and, like, that, inclusivity.
Yeah, being
and,
yourself.
Yeah, and the representation. So I think it's important to, like,
Yeah.
speak to it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're also very spiritual, and I believe in the universe because we were planning to make a video, Nonna's beautiful idea. But then we're going to film tomorrow, but me and Anne, we're going to film the podcast anyways, go
Yeah.
live, and then all of a sudden we're just like, wait.
Well, perfect time
Hand
to
in
do
hand.
it.
Yeah, literally. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're excited to dive in and share our thoughts. Of course, we know a lot, but we also want to share a lot of our thoughts and just, the love and inclusivity, I think, is the main part that we want to emphasize.
Yeah.
Especially to anyone watching, like, you're always loved. You're perfect the way you are.
Yes.
And kind of that brings us back to this whole thing that's happening right now. It's
yeah.
like,
Yeah. Where do we even start?
where do we begin? What's
I
the
mean,
segue?
I think a good segue is like, because we've talked about this a lot on our lives, is like whether or not LGBTQ plus rights or just exposure should be taught in schools.
Yeah.
And we have a very hard stance on it that it is absolutely. So maybe we could start there. Because like we talked a lot about on our lives, maybe some videos, but I would love for it to be included on podcast.
I think, like, Pride, if we look at Pride, and the
Yes.
history of Pride, it was a riot.
Yeah.
We are fighting for our rights. We are fighting for the visibility, the inclusivity.
Yeah.
And this is the continuation. Pride is not just a month
Not
of
finished.
June.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's never finished, right?
Yeah.
And it's just simply basic
Yeah.
human rights that we're looking for. Like, we're not asking for a lot.
Not a lot of
We're
respect.
just, it's respect.
Simple.
Simple. Respect.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like, when we talk about pride and we talk about what it means, this is it. Like, this is it. We are fighting the fight, and, like,
Yeah.
we are asking our allies to support us in that.
Yeah.
And to speak for our trans brothers and sisters that
Yeah.
maybe don't have the mental capacity to handle this right now, because it's a lot,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
especially for the youth. So I think it's important to talk about it and
Yeah.
talk about it and talk about it and never stop talking about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Love
And-
that.
And that's what you
Until
both
we don't
do,
need to
too.
talk about it.
Yeah,
and that's the
yeah,
problem is
normal
like,
part, yeah.
you know,
Yes.
I see comments all the time of like, why do you feel the need to shove your gay agenda down my throat and, you know, put it all out there? It's for a reason.
Yeah.
Because there's unjust happening in the world where people are simply getting hurt, bullied,
Yeah.
made fun of just for being who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not even inflicting harm or judgment or anything on anyone else. They're simply existing.
Yes.
And people are
Yeah.
judging them and harming them and you know.
Yeah. So and there's
Putting out
no
hate speech.
alternative. It's like if we're not shoving the agenda down and talking about it constantly all year round, then what? Then it just gets buried, and then things continue
get
on
harmed.
Yes.
and people get harmed. One thing I wanted to say, and I said this again a lot on our lives, and I love this analogy. It just came to me, is like teaching. I don't even think it's teaching because it's all I don't know, but I don't think it's like anyone's having it in the agenda. Let's teach them about this today. It's just I think all that we believe is just exposure. Exposure,
Yeah.
having it part of, sure, maybe the agenda, the curriculum, just as you would heteronormativity. So if you have a children's book and you see a mom and dad together, it doesn't have to be over-sexualizing anything. Just maybe also show a mom and a mom or dad and dad or anywhere in between. So I think exposure to the LGBTQ plus community is crucial in schools because I talk to this kind of like, again, teaching kids the color of the rainbow. You don't, even if red's my favorite color and I'm a teacher or I'm a parent, I'm not like, you know what, we're only going to show red. Red's the best color.
Yeah.
I might not like yellow, I might not green, but you teach kids the whole rainbow.
Yeah.
And then each kid is going to resonate with whatever color they like. Some kids might see, I like green. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no harm with that. So I think it should just be the same as exposing kids to everything and letting them decide what makes them happy.
Yeah. I actually have a really cool analogy similar to that.
Yeah.
Like I was just thinking about it the other day. It literally hit me. In Catholic schools, they're
We
literally
all went to Catholic school.
and we all went to Catholic
That's
schools.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Move in a bit. So just make sure you're in.
In Catholic schools, they literally have the religion course where they teach all Catholic
World
schools.
religions.
Yeah.
They teach world religion. So they teach them the Islamic religion, the Jewish religion,
Yes.
all the religions. It's exposure for education.
Yes.
So what's the difference? They're
Yeah.
literally just teaching different types of people that exist. That's all it's saying.
Yeah.
It's just saying that
Yeah.
some people can like girls, some people can like boys, some people can like anything in between, and that's okay.
Then people
And
can
that-
identify however they want to identify.
yeah, and just basically treat them with respect. Same way you would say, oh, some people are Muslim,
Yeah.
some people are Catholic.
Yeah.
Treat them with respect even
Yes.
though they're not the same belief
Yeah.
as you.
Yeah.
So I don't see the difference there, and there's no
Yeah.
sexualization of that. It's
No.
just this person, this type
Exposure.
of person exists that might be
Yeah.
different from you. Respect them.
Gender identity
Yeah.
and sexual
Orientation,
acts
yeah.
are very different. Gender identity, sexual orientation,
Yeah.
and literally sexual acts are very different
Very
things.
different.
So true.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I
They
mean?
don't always
Like,
have to go hand
they
in
do
hand.
not, they don't go hand in hand.
No,
like, at all.
100%.
Like,
Exactly.
it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's also sharing and educating, like, you can be demisexual, you can be asexual, which means like,
Yeah.
hey, like, that's okay if you don't have attraction to
Yeah.
anyone. That's normal.
Yeah.
That's okay. I think like that exposure to
Yeah.
things and that
Helping kids
representation.
identify what I'm even feeling.
100%.
Because that was such a hard thing that I think we can
Oh
all
my
relate to. Is
gosh.
like, I just don't know what I'm feeling. I know, my friends are learning about this and they relate to that, but
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Or,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I think at the core of it too, it's like just teaching kids open-mindedness. It doesn't
Yeah.
even have to be about a certain subject, but
Yeah.
the reason this subject is so pressing right now is because people from that community are being like singled out and
Yeah.
harmed.
Yeah.
But at the core of it, if you're saying you're a parent that's going to these protests and saying, I don't want my kids to learn these things, you're basically telling your kid that I don't want my kid to be open-minded
Yeah.
to differences.
Yeah.
There are
Period.
going to be differences in every
Yeah.
aspect of life.
Absolutely.
You said something really important there, and I was thinking about this too, is we did a live, and the amount of people and their parents in the chat being like, I don't want my kid to be exposed to this. And there seems to be such a force, and I started to think about that, and I think that is one of the most selfish signs as a parent, that it's not that you're scared exposing kids to the LGBTQ plus community is going to turn your kid gay. You're scared it's going to give your kid the comfort to possibly come out as gay. And that's the most selfish act. That's what these parents are scared of. They're not scared like, my kid's going to turn gay. They're actually really scared that exposing kids is going to allow my kid to maybe come out if they are gay, and I don't want that. I don't even want them to know this exists. And that is what it is rooted in, is the parent not wanting a gay child. You can't turn someone gay. We all went to a Catholic high school. We were taught heteronormativity. We were taught man is with women. That's all we saw. Yeah. And we're gay as hell.
But learning only a heterosexual way really messed with my mind, right? Yeah. Like, and it messes with, like, a lot of people, because it's like, I didn't see any of that representation. So for, like, 15 years of my life, it never really felt right. Like, I felt like, it didn't feel okay. That leads to trauma. It leads to anxiety. It leads to depression. Yeah. And that's when it's like, so many people, especially those that are questioning their gender identity, they don't see that representation. They just think, there's something wrong with me. I don't know what's happening with me. Yeah. And that's when, their risk of suicide rates is higher. It's harmful. It's, homelessness, or it's even because they see their parents maybe not wanting them to learn. Yeah. They don't feel safe in that environment.
Yeah. Their parents are out at the protest, protesting against who they know they are truly deep down.
Come closer for the mic.
No, I think it's fine.
You're fine?
Yeah.
That is a really good point. And like you don't have to go too deep into that, because we're going to have a podcast where it's just all about Nonna. But maybe do you want to talk a little bit to your story and because you
had a different experience than us in terms of
for sure.
Growing up, feeling like comfort to come out when you came out, all of that.
I think for me it was like, I didn't realize I was gay because I didn't have the representation of like someone that looked like me or like acted like me. Like, and I say this example a lot, like I only had Ellen. Right? And like
we all
I was like,
that's how our mom told her dad that we're gay, is through Ellen.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't really identify or relate to Ellen, right? Like, I do like doing my hair and makeup. I didn't feel comfortable in dresses, but I slayed the shit out of them, right? So like, it was just kind of like, if I knew that representation, and that's why I loved social media, because it exposed me to things, it allowed me to get, the we'll call it education from people telling their own stories,
relatability,
their own truths. It was a relatability. That's exactly.
Shout out to TikTok.
Shout
out. That's how this bond was made.
Where it all began. Yeah. So it's like, it's just allowing people to learn. Yeah. And it doesn't. You can't teach being gay.
Yep.
Teach it. You can't, like, that doesn't make sense.
You can't turn people gay.
You can't turn people gay. You can't teach people gay.
Yeah.
But what you can teach people is what exists out there, so that it could help them down the road.
Yeah.
And
you had a good point. I want to dive deeper into that, but you had a good point. You said, I think on one of our TikToks, that what are schools responsible for? Education.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, educating is not, hey, this is what we think we should tell students. This is what I believe, so I'm going to tell students this. No. Education is teaching kids everything and letting them decide what resonates with them. So I really like that you said that, because it is literally the school's responsibility to educate.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what your beliefs are.
Yeah. And I just want to go off that point really quickly. When parents are saying protect my kids, what are you protecting them from? Like, you're actually making it worse for your kids by spewing hate speech. Like, what you're saying is essentially hate speech. That's an opinion that you think this thing is wrong. Mm-hmm. Whether you think it's wrong or not, it exists.
Yeah.
It's there. Like, kids, there are trans kids that exist, and if you say no, they don't exist, they still do exist. And so they need to be taught that exists. And it's as simple as that. Yeah.
So do you remember the first moment that, because you didn't have much exposure to it, because I remember my first time realizing, like, lesbians exist, gay people exist, girls can wear boy clothes, boys can wear, like, do you remember that moment? Like, was it TikTok, or like, when was that? Maybe not like a moment in time, but like a general period of time where you're like, you know what? I'm going to explore this.
There was many, many moments, but I think it was like after I ended my relationship I was dating a guy for 5 years.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't know. I think I'm going to, like, it just, like, I literally texted my friends. I'm like, I'm going to date women. Like, I want to date women.
Okay.
And, like, they weren't shocked about it, because I've always been like, but I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it. Like, explore. And it felt right, but I felt uncomfortable to come out.
Yeah.
Because, like, again,
what you were taught.
What I was taught.
Yeah.
What I was
or
taught.
what you weren't taught.
Yeah.
What I wasn't taught.
Yeah.
And, again, like, I'm fortunate with my family, but, extended family are there's homophobia out there.
Yeah.
There's transphobia out there. And I think a lot of LGBTQ youth, like, especially with their parents, don't feel safe to come out, right?
Yeah.
And the reality is that, like, people don't understand the fear that we have when coming out. And there's grown ass adults scared to come out to their family because they know that the moment they do that, they have to cut their family. And that's a huge loss.
Terrifying.
So by literally saying, oh, if a kid is questioning, if a kid is thinking about something, like we all went through that. It takes, you have to tell your parents right away.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not ready to.
Yeah.
They're not ready. Like, people need to go it through and like you talk to your chosen family first.
100%.
Right?
100%.
All of these things, you talk to your friends first. You talk to people that could maybe help you get resources.
Yeah.
Aside from your parents, so that you could actually have conversations with your parents.
Yeah.
So now it's the opposite, where it's like if the moment you express, hey, I'm thinking of something. Oh, well, we need to bring your parents into it.
Yeah.
It just pushes.
Is that what they're saying?
I think so. I think they're saying that you need to parents need to be involved in the decision of pronoun use or sexual. Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, that's such like a blurred line because it's like I understand a parent wanting to be so close to their kid and wanting to control them, but like if that parent has a closed mind and is hateful towards certain groups, then that's not fair to your kid to...
Yeah, and I think I kind of want to also focus because I think there's so much focus right now on those that aren't supportive, but I think we need to actually showcase and spotlight the parents who are supportive.
Yeah,
because I feel like those are our allies right now.
100%. So perfect segue because I wanted to talk about this because, for example, our mom is a devoted, dedicated Catholic. Till this day, still goes to church every Sunday. We went to a Catholic high school. And we came out to her, both of her daughters, her only daughters. And it was a process. When we told her, honestly, the day, she cried. But she also said, I love you girls no matter what.
Yes.
And she had her healing process, or not healing, but just her process to kind of... Her process to process. And so where she is today, it's not like she had to choose my religion or do I support my daughters. What she did is she still follows her religion. She still is a devout Catholic, but she also loves her daughters and supports her daughters, and she's able to do both. Yeah. And I think the thing is, with religion or anything, any reason you might be hateful or closed-minded to something, maybe there's good sides of that, maybe there's bad sides of that. So my mom still follows all the great sides of her religion that is to our message, just spreading love. But there's a core part of her that just realized, those are my daughters. I love them. They would never hurt me. They'd never choose something. They're just living their lives, and she loves us for that. And so I think a lot of parents, we do see it, and we want to give love to, and you probably see it too, a lot of religious people in our comments being like, yeah, I'm Muslim, but I love you guys. I support you guys as long as you're happy. I'm Catholic. I'm any other religion, any other background. So there is so many beautiful people. It doesn't mean we're against religion or we're against whatever you believe. As long as you are a loving person, I think you will always find the right answers. And as long as you're taking care of your own happiness, you're happy. Yeah. You're going to be able to accept others for being happy as long as they're not harming anyone else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. As gay people, we're not going around being like, you can't practice this religion because you need to be gay. We're not doing that. No, but it's literally what they're doing to us, right? Where it's just it's you can't, you are a sin for existing. Yes. Okay, cool. In your religion, but you, as a human, acknowledge my existence.
Exactly.
I can appreciate if that is a sin in your religion. Yeah. I completely respect that.
Yep.
But to be fair, that's not my religion.
Exactly.
That is, I am
you
a
may
human
not
being
respect or agree with the things that they believe in.
But may not agree, but respect.
Well,
the
respect is there.
Sorry,
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's freedom. Yeah. It's the freedom of choice. It's the freedom of opinion. It's the freedom of believing.
Expression.
It's a freedom of expression. But when you tell a group of people you cannot do this.
Yes.
That is a lack of freedom.
That's oppression.
Yeah.
That's literally oppression.
It's literally oppression.
And at the end of the day, whether your kids get taught this in school or not, with social media, with, the different experiences in life they're going to have, they're going to learn differences regardless. It's a matter of setting your kid up for success in a world of differences versus not. Yeah. If you don't you don't want them to be educated in school about simple differences. Let's just call it differences at this point. Whether it's religious, whether it's identity, whatever it is, when they come across that in their life, which they will, in the workplace, many places where that exists, and people are happily living their truths, how are they going to respond? You don't want your kid to be the one responding with hate, because quite frankly, that's not respected, and especially in the workplace. If you're wanting your kid to be successful and a contributing member of society, and they're then getting into the workplace because they didn't learn about different, diverse backgrounds, and they're spewing the same hate speech that you are against other people. that kid's getting fired immediately.
I think,
hopefully,
that's
fingers crossed.
Most workplaces, I would say, but at the end of the day, like as a parent, your only job is to make sure that your kid is happy. Like there should be no other thing that you want. And I'm trying very hard to put the pieces together of saying you don't want your kids to learn something in school being equivalent to not making your kids happy. Like, does that make sense?
No, not really.
No? Like, I know, I'm trying to say if I'm saying
I think
right.
I know what you're saying.
Like you want your kids to be happy, but then you're saying, oh, but then I don't want them to learn this one thing because I think it's going to affect them negatively.
Yeah.
But
when that could be just being a good human being, right? Like teaching them to, but also like down the road, if that is something like that, the opposite effect. Like, if, I don't know,
it will. Their kid can then express themselves and be happy.
Yeah.
I kind of. Yeah,
I think
I kind of got what you were going to
say. I get what you're saying. Is it kind of like, again, back to the rainbow analogy? So like, let's say I'm a parent and I think red's the best color, and I'm like, I don't want my kids to learn any other color because yellow might make them happy, but red needs to make them happy. So I don't even want them to learn yellow. That it might make them happy.
Yes. Like as a parent, you're so tied to red that you then need to see your kid also like red.
Exactly.
And if your kid likes anything else, you're not going to be happy with that.
Yeah.
That's what. Exactly. Thank you. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Your kid should be able to choose what color they like, and you should be happy with the choice that your kid chooses. As long as they're not choosing the color violence. Hurting somebody. That's the only thing we don't like or agree with. But simply deciding to wear different types of clothing, to want to use different pronouns. How is that wrong? Like, even if your religion says it's wrong, your child should also be able to choose what religion they like to follow, or if they don't even want to follow it. And I understand some religions, I think the Islamic religion, maybe I'm speaking out of place here, but correct me if I'm wrong, I think that it does say that your children must be, practicing the religion. And that's where it gets a little bit tricky, because your religion says this, but where does free will come into play? Did you get to decide what religion you followed?
So I think this leads into, like, I think there's generational mindsets, ideologies that, like, I think the past generations was like, your kids are a representation of you. They're passing on the genes.
So many
and
ways.
So there's so many control that, like, that's why even
religion,
like the
job,
kids that are like named,
how
like,
you dress, how you look, how you speak, how you represent your parent. Oh my gosh.
Everything. But even if like the names, like if the dad's name is Frank, it's Frank Jr. Yeah. Like I think there was that ideology that my kid is a form of me, and so they need to reflect everything. Even just with occupations, like with a lot of parents who were just like, my kid needs to become a doctor. You're gonna go to doctor school. What is it?
Med school.
Doctor school.
I'm gonna get roasted for that one. But like, you know what I mean? Like, you need to follow this path because this is what's gonna make me proud. The kid turns out so unhappy. Like, maybe there's a 1% chance that's the exact path the kid wanted, but a lot of times it's not.
It's a human life you're talking about. You're using that as your way to gain social, status with your friends. You're like, oh, my kid does this and my kid does that. Yeah. What about the kid?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That should be your only thing as a parent. I'm not a parent, but if I was, and I see it with my mom, as long as you are happy, as long as you're not harming anyone else, and you're happy.
Just be happy.
That's
Life is too short.
Yeah.
Like, if you're worried about, if my kid does this, my religion says they're gonna go to hell. Yeah. Their kid's gonna live a living hell. The kid's life on earth is going to be hell if they're not able to do the things that make them happy. They're only going to be listening to what mom and dad say is right.
Yeah.
But what if the kid wants to do its own thing?
Yeah.
It's so harmful.
Yeah. So on that note, again, we're gonna do a deep dive into everything about Nonna, but just on this topic, like, and if you're comfortable sharing, so back to the process of you realizing that maybe you're starting to do things that you always wanted but were never comfortable.
Yes.
But then you found the comfort, whether through TikTok, whether through exposure, whatever it be, you started to explore that. How did that make you feel, like, just in terms of your own happiness, but almost like discovering who you are? And I don't want to impose that on you, but that's at least what we felt. It's like, I feel like I was on autopilot. Yeah. And it's like all of a sudden,
I wasn't living my life.
Yes.
I wasn't.
Period.
I was living my life for other people.
Yep. Yeah.
And I wasn't living my life for me.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, oh wow, like, how do I actually want to live my life?
Yeah.
Like, what actually makes me happy?
What do I want to do?
What do I want to do? Like, ooh, this is so exciting. At the age of 30. Like,
it's so
we're still young. We're still young.
Still young. But like, it doesn't matter what age you are when you are able to do that. But it's like the moment you decide, like, I am worth living my life for me, and like I'm not going to live it for other people and for other people's happiness because that is not my happiness.
Yeah. And the fact that at the age of 30, being able to live your truth, the ideal is that's the whole purpose of this whole wanting to teach kids this earlier so that it doesn't take up to 30 to be able to feel that way. The ideal is you're just born and you get to do that, and for 30 years, imagine you got to be able to just do that and you don't have to learn that now.
Like, and I think it's, it's learning, it's just showing, gradual education, gradual like inclusivity and exposure, right? It's not saying like this is what it is. It's just showing like you said in the picture books, like here's a mom and a mom, here's a dad and a dad, like different family dynamics in general, right? Like showing that to show the representation, at a young age. And like as kids get older, start introducing, more information. Like we're not saying it right from the beginning, right? Exactly. Like we're just saying like acknowledge that it exists. Just let your kid be happy. And I think it's like going back to like the whole school and like, oh, we're doing this to protect our kids, but it's protecting the entire kids. Like you're creating an environment
for all that's actually a really good point.
It's creating
I want to protect my kid, not those other kids,
right? And it's like all of those other kids, like I don't care if you're not allowed, but it's like putting them to like bullying, it's putting them to harassment, it's like not making them feel safe. Exactly. It's literally like, oh, you can't in school. We are going to tell you if you mention it, everyone's going to know, your parents are going to know, and now you're going to be like ridiculed and you're going to be what is it when they pick you out of a crowd and they like
singled out
isolated, right? Like isolation.
Terrible.
That's it.
Well, so that's another thing, because like at least we heard on our TikTok lives and like some parents saying like, I don't like the kids don't need that over sexualization and almost like the sexualization of the LGBTQ community. Again, showing a picture book and having a mom and a dad, maybe on the next page a mom and a mom, dad and a dad, whoever and whoever. Where's the sexualization there?
It's only sexual if you're making it sexual, and the only people making it sexual
look in the mirror.
Look
in the mirror.
No one is talking about like sex. Like it's just
so that relatability is. I feel like maybe what's at the heart of a lot of this is like, just the world's lacking empathy, lacking love, because I think it's like you can't relate to something until you can. Like, you will never know a day. Like, for example, this might not make sense yet, but I thought about this because, like, my dad, follows the Muslim religion, and that's a huge reason why he's not, accepting of Em and I.
Supportive.
All that I think about is I'm like, you could, be born Muslim, you could be following that religion, all of that. And if you were gay and you felt the feelings that we felt and you knew that that's a deep part of you and you felt that, oh, this doesn't align with this, whatever, it's not a choice. Nothing is going to change your mind more than realizing that yourself. And so it's like so many people see something and no one's causing harm to anyone, but they're like, I don't get that. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. That's not how I feel. So I don't like you. You're weird. I hate you. And
Stop
it's like,
doing that.
Stop doing that. Like, no, you'll never understand walking in someone else's shoes until you might have to, until you do. And it's like, that's why it's like, as long as no one's causing harm, and if people are walking around happy, why do people feel the need to take it upon themselves? Like, I don't align with that. I don't like that color. I don't like that. Like,
so true. Do you think if we had a choice, we would choose to be gay?
Let's get on that. Let's do a deep dive.
Oh, yeah. If I had a choice, I would absolutely choose the hardship of...
The harder path.
The harder path.
Yeah.
The harder path.
I want to hear the hate comments. I want to see the homophobia.
100%. Would I choose that?
That, like, mic drop. It's like these people who don't understand.
And it's like, I had that life, right? Where I was like, it was like a very hetero life. Yeah. And all of that. And
you tried so hard.
I tried so hard, and I still chose to be...
who you are,
be who I am.
Yes,
you know, like it's
it's
not like
you didn't choose.
Sorry,
you chose to follow what
chose
you
your
happiness.
Feel.
Correct.
You chose your happiness.
There's a lot of
I chose not to do what I was for a while.
Yeah,
and it didn't.
Well, because a lot of what religions say that people share is like it's okay to have the feelings of liking the same sex or someone that might not be just completely the opposite gender or sex. but
to act on it.
You cannot act on it. They're saying it's a choice to then act on that and go ahead and do those things, and that's the part that's wrong, not the feelings. So anyone can have the feelings. So first of all, inherently, it's okay to have the feelings, is what religion is saying, some of the religions. But then to not act on something that makes you happy and it's not harming anybody and saying that that's wrong is, doesn't make sense to me. But the other point I wanted to make about what you were saying, if you don't agree with something or it doesn't, resonate with what you believe in and you don't understand it, fine. Like, that's okay. No one's saying that that's a problem. Like, you might not be able to understand something and that's okay. Where it becomes a problem is when you then outwardly go and try to change it and say hate speech and disrespect towards it, as opposed to simply turn in the other direction. Just you have a thumb to scroll past it. Why can't you just ignore it? Like, or teach your kid to say, maybe the teacher is teaching this, but I really, really don't want my kid to know these things, so just tell your kid to not listen. Like, why do you have to go out of your way to control to things just so it's appeasing you? Like, everybody has different views. Why is yours more important?
So they're saying, like, we only want you to believe these set of beliefs. We believe that we should not be sharing out everything because we don't want our kids exposed to the queer. But, like, that's your belief and that's your opinions. But what about all of the other religions and cultures that actually have that enrooted in their religion, right? Like, you're minimizing all of the other views and stances and like the whole, like, I'll speak to myself because I'm spiritual, right? But like, that's what I identify as, and it's like you're eliminating my religion by not sharing about it. Like, you're doing all of these other things because you just want your mindset of no gay.
And so that hit me because, like, again, I think that goes back to what the school's purpose is education. If you don't align with something as a parent, maybe at home, you don't want to talk to your kids about LGBTQ plus rights. Maybe you don't want to talk to them about other religions that might exist. When they go to school is to educate on things that maybe they do know about, maybe things that they don't know about, maybe things that you as a parent don't even know about. So that's the whole thing. These parents are just trying to put their ideology, like, I don't want my kid to learn about that, so no. Then don't send them to school. School is going to be where their mind is opened to all things that exist.
Well, the whole purpose of education is to teach things that they don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like Santa Claus. Okay? Do you know where I'm going with this?
I don't, but I want to know.
Okay. So, like, think of Santa Claus, right? Like, spoiler alert, no kids. Like, if your kid doesn't know Santa Claus, like, please, but, like, okay, Santa Claus, like, I remember, like, when I learned that Santa Claus wasn't real, my parents told me, but they said, if someone believes that Santa Claus is real, you do not shut that light down.
Yep.
You continue letting them believe that Santa Claus is real.
Yeah.
Just let them be.
Let them be happy.
Let them be happy. Yeah. Where it's like here, it's like, you might not believe that, or be gay or whatever, support the...
Yeah,
LGBT. You get where I'm going. My brain stopped working at one point. Santa Claus came into my mind. So it's like, why not allow that person to still just continuously live their life? That person believing in Santa does not affect you.
At all.
At all. Like, why?
At all.
Exactly what I'm saying. Turn around and walk away.
No, but I'll tell you why.
Santa doesn't
I
exist.
have an answer. I actually do have an answer. I have an answer why they feel the need to step in. And this is what we've always tied it back to, is that is an unhappy person. That is a hurting person. That is a person in pain, because it actually affects someone who is unhappy, hurting and in pain, to see someone else happy.
Pause for a sec, because it's going to catch on the noise.
I know, if you hear a noise, Nala's beautiful Nala's
drinking. I'm so sorry.
No, leave it in.
Nala, come.
It's okay.
Stop drinking water.
We have two beautiful babies roaming around.
Thank you.
That just points to an unhappy person.
Yeah.
When you are happy, I know myself, for example, if I wake up and I'm in a bad mood, she's hearing hell from me. Any little thing she does, I'm gonna be like, girl, why did you do that? I'm gonna just be nagging on her because I'm not in a good mood and I'm irritable and everything's gonna make me angry. When I am happy, even when she's being as annoying as she possibly can, I'm just like, I'm good. I don't need to. When you are happy, you are not concerned with other people's lives. You're happy.
Period.
When you are unhappy, happy people, guess what they do? They affect you because you're mad. It makes you feel shitty. They trigger you. And so that's why these people have something to say. It always points to, like, sending you love. I hope you get well soon. True. Because you are hurting. Two things I wanted to say. The one thing is, just because way back, hit me. We talked about it being a choice or something, or so we said something about a choice, because when we actually came out to our dad, that was a big thing he said. He's like, well, it is a choice, and we had this whole discussion with him, like, how is it a choice? How is attraction a choice? Even if you're straight, you can't choose whoever you're going to be attracted to. If you're LGBTQ+, however you identify, attraction is attraction.
You don't wake up saying, oh, today I want to be attracted to this person.
Exactly.
So I'm going to do that. It doesn't happen.
Exactly. And then we even said, again, you think we would choose the harder path if it was a choice? But his mindset, maybe this will resonate with some people who still don't agree with this, is, well, you could choose who you're with. You could be with a boy or a girl. You're choosing to be with girls, so it is a choice. That is, in his head, how it made sense. But then we had to take it a bit deeper. We said, so let's say we choose to be with boy. Unhappy. We choose to be with girl. Happy. Maybe you think it's a choice, but the choice is our happiness. To do what makes us happy. Still didn't get through, but hopefully maybe that gets through to anyone. But the choice is to pursue your happiness. So if people are seeing it as a choice, sure, see it however you want, but it's not to be with someone. You're choosing your happiness.
But it goes back to
be your true self.
It goes back to the same point where we were talking about before, where the parent is putting their happiness over the child. Correct. So your choice of your happiness doesn't align with my choice of your happiness. Exactly. So you're wrong.
So the real choice is actually the parent. It's your choice as a parent to either want your kid to be happy or not. Okay, let's end on some fun stuff. We have a bit more time. Let's go through the three of us. What advice would you give to baby Nonna?
I see you.
Oh.
I love you. I accept you. Mm-hmm. You are, we are fighting for you. And we exist. Yep. And we take space. And there's nothing wrong with us. Like, that's it. There's nothing wrong with us.
Nonna.
There it is.
We're here. We're queer. And we ain't gonna get run by fear. Ooh. That's my advice. No. Okay. That was beautiful, Nonna. That was beautiful, Nonna.
Gonna end on that.
Okay, well, I can go next. And I guess this would either be to younger Noe or any youth out there. I mean, always the message, and as might be a little bit similar, is just do what makes you happy. Whether, as long as you're not harming anyone else, do what makes you happy. If wearing certain clothes makes you happy, go ahead and wear those clothes. And don't care what anyone else says. If pursuing a certain career makes you happy, go ahead and pursue that. Don't care what anyone else says. If you want to be friends with someone, if you want to love someone, if you want to eat in certain food, follow your inner bliss. That is there for a reason. Mm-hmm. There's only one of you, and that makes you happy for a reason. And the more you follow that happiness, the more you're going to discover who you are. The more you discover who you are, the more you're going to do things that make you happy.
Beautiful.
Period. Sending you
love.
that. Yeah.
I would say mine's very similar because we had very similar upbringings, but if I could add a different spin to it or just, share a little bit more, I'd probably say that when you are doing those things, being happy, following what's inside of you and your true bliss, you will face a lot of judgment. You will face a lot of hate. It sucks. That's the world we live in. We're literally talking about that right now, and people are literally protesting against who you are as a person. Stay strong. Realize that none of that matters. Things will be okay. You will be okay. It will get better. Focus and try to find people that will support you and love you for who you are. If you can't, love yourself. And, there might be situations where you actually might not find one singular person to love you for who you are, but that's where you really have to focus and learn to get that relationship with yourself. That's what's going to take you through this life. Yeah. So learn to love yourself, be your own best friend, and know that nothing is wrong with you, and you're perfect exactly as you are.
I'm gonna cry! Ladies, this was a wonderful episode.
It was beautiful. I think it would be so great to share about resources as well.
Yes.
So there's friends of Ruby that do have the youth support. There's so many. I feel even just sharing them.
We're gonna put some links in the description for resources where you can go if you do need help and support. But at the end of the day, you always have us. We're here. If you've ever reach out, we got you. We love you. You're seen. You're supported. You're loved.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that wraps up episode number 2 of the Metamorphosis podcast with Am and Noe and our wonderful gay Italian Nonna. Give them your socials. How can they follow you?
At Gay Italian Nonna on all platforms.
We're going to put that link in the bio too or in the description. Thank you so much for watching.
Be yourself.
Do what makes you happy.
Spread love.
And morph into the real you. Oh yeah.
Like that.
What did I say? What was one?
Oh, that was so good. So good.